Next subheader in the article: invader, tourist, or guest. A writer's guide to cultural difference. See, you could have skipped that whole friggin' preamble and just got right to the meat of the article here. Save all our time. Thanks, Fa. Bearing all that in mind, what kind of responsibility does a writer then shoulder? Bearing all what in mind? Your propaganda? Okay, so you're talking about responsibility. So here's the opening thesis. This is the thesis of the article right here. Bearing all that in mind, your propaganda, aka, what kind of responsibility, whose responsibility is it, is what we're getting at here. She's insinuating. What kind of responsibility does a writer then shoulder when writing characters whose experience extends outside of their own identity? One ethical approach, one ethical approach, keep in mind, we're talking about fiction here. One ethical approach has been described in Nisi Shaw's essay, Appropriate Cultural Appropriation, end quote. Shaw also co-wrote Writing the Other, the classic volume on this subject, with co-author Cynthia Ward. Shaw asks creators what mindset they have when looking to add other cultures or experiences to their work. Are they an quote invader, a quote tourist, or a quote guest? No, they're the author. They are the authority, as a matter of fact. Hence the word author. They are the authority. They're not any of those things. See, again, you are projecting things here, or you are injecting things into this conversation that have nothing to do with it. This is what is this? This is a logical fallacy here. This is a logical fallacy because it's none of the above. That's the answer. The answer is they are none of the above. They're not an invader, a tourist, or a guest. If the author chooses to add cultures, other cultures and experiences into their work that do not reflect that of their own quote unquote identity, they're the authority on that subject. However it works within the context of their own fiction, period. There's no argument there. An invader, as the term implies, an invader. See, now you got what these are. Here's what this is. This is the little mind game that this the writer of this article is posing here. This activist, is talking about here. What's her first name again? Diana Pho. This is what Diana is talking about here. What Diana is proposing here is a straw man. This is called the straw man argument, okay? And this straw man comes in three flavors. We're going to learn about the invader straw man, the tourist straw man, and the guest straw man, okay? So just, if you don't know what the straw man logical fallacy is, you can look that up. You can Google it. An invader, as the term implies, is the most harmful approach, in which writers act without any regard for the feelings. The feels intensify. An invader, as the term implies, is the most harmful approach, in which writers act without any regard for the feelings of the community or the responsibilities in representing them. The responsibility of representing the community? It's not a fucking hive mind. That is offensive. That's to say anyone who comes from so imagine you're part of the black community. You're a black person, okay? Do you like that when people say that you're part of the black community instead of acknowledging you as your own individual with your own friggin' mind, that incapable of thinking for yourself? Or does the black community represent who you are as an individual? You know what I'm saying? It's so like this person has zero self-awareness, dude. These SJWs, They're all the friggin' same. They have like no self-awareness whatsoever. They think they're being empathetic when in all reality, they're really the most offensive human beings walking the earth. And they just aren't capable of seeing it. All right, here we go. Invaders, quote, invaders arrive without warning. Take whatever they want for use in whatever way they see fit. Yeah, that's called being an author. That's called writing fiction. That's called using your imagination. It doesn't have to be accurate. It doesn't have to be an accurate, quote unquote, representation as you see it, only as the author sees it. And it's based on their level of creativity to make whatever their imagination can come up with make sense within the context of their own story. I cannot continue to stress that enough. Anyways, invaders, the straw man, aka, arrive without warning, take whatever they want for use. See, they're trying to demonize a particular type of behavior by using the straw man. They use the straw man, then they demonize the straw man. You see what I'm saying? Shaw explains, theirs is a position of entitlement without allegiance. Fucking allegiance? You have to pledge your fucking allegiance to the fucking community. I pledge allegiance to the black community that I will represent you guys to the utmost accuracy. Examples of an invader mindset include cursory research, focusing on what seems, quote unquote, exotic to your world building. Projection. Wait, yeah. Why don't you pick apart those erotica novels written by those white liberal women that have jungle fever? You know, why don't you pick those apart for their representation? Projection of stereotypes, desires, or fantasies about a different gender when writing characters instead of making them dynamic people. Assuming that not including queer people or people of color in a story is being, quote unquote, historically accurate. You don't have to include anyone if you don't want to. And it can be historically accurate for your fiction if it's meant to be. How about that? Stick it right in your pipe and smoke it. How do you like that one? Writers who act as tourists are a step up. Oh, we're going up in the hierarchy and in fuzz hierarchy here. This is a step up in Diana's hierarchy. Writers, can you believe this magazine would even publish this article? Like, this is a mainstream magazine. Can you even, like, what kind of a rag is this? This is like some BuzzFeed level. You want hierarchy? This article right here is some BuzzFeed level shit. This is trash. This is dross. Writers who act as tourists are a step up. No, you get Diana's. You get a pat on the head from Diana for being a tourist and not an invader. Tourists acknowledge they are outsiders. Yes. They are outsiders, deeply interested and invested in learning more about the other. As this term also implies, however, tourists can act positively or negatively. Think immersive traveler Anthony Bourdain in Parts Unknown versus an undergrad on spring break in Cancun. A respectful tourist mindset embodies these qualities: an honest curiosity and willingness to learn. Yes. Yes. Enrich me with your culture. Yes. And ability to ask questions from experts when help is needed. Yes. Help me. Awareness that a writer should respect respect cultural boundaries and not impose their own biases. God forbid the author, the authority of their fiction impose their own biases when creating their own work of art. How dare you? This is such a fun. This is I have to say, this is I'm getting a little bit of guilty pleasure from reading this trash article, I have to say.